we are live for the first time. We are definitely live for the first time. Once again, my name is Leonard Myles, aka 2 Degrees and a CDL. Right now, I'm live from Ames, Iowa. It is cold up here. It is very, very cold. Um, so I'm here for the night. We got our warehouse in Ellsworth, Iowa, which is probably about 10, 15 minutes away from here. So I'm here for the night, and I'll be heading back out tomorrow, getting ready to head back home to Georgia. So we have a warehouse up here. Matter of fact, it's the main company warehouse for BVS, which is Best Veterinary Solutions. Once again, I'm in the poultry industry, well, the agricultural industry, so more so dealing with chickens and everything like that. So I definitely love what I do, and definitely a great organization. So I should be back home in Georgia by Thursday afternoon. But I came on this live tonight because it is it has been a year since I passed my CDL practical from South Georgia Technical College in Americus, Georgia. Like I always tell everybody before, if you go back and view previous videos that I've made, going the tech school route, in my opinion, I can't speak for everybody else, but in my opinion, excuse me, what's the best route for me to go? And I would really recommend that for everybody as well. But definitely, excuse me, if you live in the state of Georgia, I definitely recommend that you do go to tech schools to obtain your CDL. It's a program that the state of Georgia will pay for free. That's right, for free. It's like a list of 18 degrees or certifications that the state of Georgia will cover. And two of the main ones that I'm interested in, and I've obtained one, of course, it's CDL. And what's the other one? Diesel Mechanic School. So they will cover both of those, the state of Georgia will, because it's a program that's in need. Once again, if you're in whatever state that you're in, like I said, I definitely recommend that you do your research just to see what your state offers. But the state of Georgia, I'm just giving everybody a heads up that the tech schools, you can get that CDL, like I said, 10 times out of 10 for free. I think I paid a total of, once again, like $35. I think I paid like for the application fee to enroll in South Georgia Tech. And I paid like a processing fee, so it all came up to around about $35. So yeah, definitely, check those out if you're in Georgia. So yes, it's been a full year. It's been a full year. I remember just like it was yesterday, me and my classmates, we were all testing out at different times. But, we were all anxious, because other people were already testing out early. It's like, man, when are we gonna get our date? When are we gonna get our date to test out? We had classmates that tested out, early, early October and things like that. So, it was only a few of us left at that point. It's like, all right, who's next? Who's gonna get their date? Who's gonna get their date, in order to test out, But meantime, between time, we're still down there, South Georgia Technical College in Americus, Georgia. We're still down there doing the pre-trips, still doing maneuvers and things along that nature. Just still keeping ourselves, keeping those skills fresh. Because we never knew when our time was gonna come for us to be able to test out. So the week before, I think it was the week of Thanksgiving, that's when I ended up getting my date from my instructor. So shout out to Mr. Cook. So I ended up getting my date for November 28th, the week right after Thanksgiving. So last year was on a Monday. And I remember just steady, looking at all the pre-trip videos, and I had the pre-trip rolled out as a script. course, I knew the parts on the truck and everything as well. So from doing the pre-trips, doing the air brakes and everything like that, uh, making sure that make sure that that part, as far as the PSI and everything like that, make sure that I knew that verbatim, because if you miss one word, if you say anything incorrectly, if you don't say the right numbers, then you got to come back for another day. So I definitely was studying all the time, all the time. And I forgot the gentleman's name who tested us out, and it's crazy that I forgot his name. But yeah, he was definitely on it. I seen too many people, when it was time for them to test out, you know, they do the pre-trip to outside and the air brakes, it messed them up. So, you see them walking back, and he's walking back, with them as well. And it's like, dang, they really messed that up. So I knew that, the in-cab portion was very, very important for everybody who has their CDL. I'm not sure how, like I said, whether you've had it for a long time or you're just now getting it. The in-cab portion, that's you gotta get that down verbatim. So I studied on everything, but I definitely studied, a lot more on, the in-cab portion. So got through everything, did the pre-trip, did the in-cab, I got a little nervous because he was kind of hesitant, when I was building the air pressure back up, and I'm just like, okay, where are we going from here? And then at that point, he was like, all right, let's go ahead and get these maneuvers. And when it was time to do those maneuvers, I'm like, okay, we about to get this CDL, and we about to get ready to really get it moving. So once I did the maneuvers and everything, mine, of course, straight line back. You had the offset to either the left or the right, and parallel park. They taught us how to alley dock, but majority of everybody had a parallel park. So once I got those maneuvers down, time for the road test. And like I said, I knew at that point, I was like, hey man, let's just get down. Let's go the route that we gotta go, and let's get on back and let me get this paperwork. So got on back to the school and everything after being out we probably drove for probably about an hour. So did that and everything. It may have been a little bit less. I may be giving too much time on that. But once we were able to, come on back to the school, like, hey, congratulations, and good luck to you. So got the paperwork and everything. I had already did the paperwork previously to go ahead and test for my hazmat. So as soon as I waited a few days, before I went to go get my license. So as soon as so it was a Monday, it was a Monday. I went back to test for my endorsements. It was that weekend. So I did it on the Saturday. So I just waited a few days, but I did it on the Saturday. And I went ahead and tested for my doubles and triples and my hazmat. I already passed the tankers. So just letting you all know that as well. If you have your CDL permit, you can, in Georgia, I don't know how other states operate, but I know in Georgia, if you have your CDL permit, you're able to test for tankers. You can't test for doubles and triples or hazmat, but you can test for tankers. So I had already had my tankers endorsement when I had my CDL permit. So I passed the doubles and triples exam, and I passed the hazmat exam as well. All I had left to do was go to get fingerprinted. So I got my fingerprints. That cost around like $125. It cost $125 to get that done. So got the fingerprints done. So all right, cool. So that takes probably about like 2 weeks. It took 2 weeks for it to, for TSA to come back, and at the with my background and everything, and I was able to get all my endorsements. I'm like, all right, great. So now I got all my endorsements, doubles and triples, tankers, hazmat. Only thing I was missing was my twit card, which like I said, I got that a few months ago. I'm like, all right, cool. Now it is time to get a trucking job, specifically hazmat. Man, it was not easy at all. It really wasn't easy. Let me straighten up this camera. It was not easy. It was not easy finding a trucking job. Man, I really thought I thought it would be. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of the instructors and people don't tell you. Like, it is hard finding trucking jobs. And I say that from this standpoint. But once again, like I say, my name, 2 Degrees in the CDL. That's the name of my Instagram. I mean, my Instagram page, my YouTube channel. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I have a master's degree in clinical mental health counseling. I can go and find a job in any of those fields with zero experience and get a job. No problem. With trucking, I had no clue that it would be like this when it came to finding a job. I had all the well, I thought I had all the qualifications because I'm like, all right, man, I got all my endorsements. Then they was like, yeah, you have all your endorsements and everything, and we see everything that you have, but based on our insurance, you have to have 6 months to a year. I'm like, insurance? Like, what are y'all talking about? So the whole thing with the insurance is, companies have certain policies, with certain requirements that their drivers have to meet. So a lot of these companies are, in order to work with these companies, you have to have X amount of years, to drive with them. And, if you don't, then you have to get those years first before you even apply. So, I'm going through that. It's like, oh man, like, well, I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna keep applying. And I applied, man, Florida Rock and Tank, um, Ryder, Martin Transport. What other hazmat company? Oakley, Keenan Advantage Group. Who else did I apply for? It was so many. You think of any tanker company, I more than likely apply for them. I did because I'm like, man, like this is something I really want to do. I want to do this. I want to do this. People tell me, man, you gotta start from somewhere. I'm like, nah, I ain't trying to hear all that. Like I just really wasn't trying to hear that at all. I was steadfast in only hazmat. That's all that I wanted to do. Um, I like it's just intriguing. Like I'm a nerd at heart. So, to be carrying, corrosives or explosives and knowing exactly what I'm carrying, and what's the purpose of it, like that intrigues me. That definitely I'm like, all right, so this is what this does, for, you know, whatever the case may be. So stuff like that just always, intrigued me. It's like it always piqued my interest. I'm like, all right, I wonder, what's the purpose of, you know, that placard or the flammable black gas or the like what are they carrying? Um, so I definitely, was always intrigued, with it. And I feel like, when it comes to trucking, you should know the avenue that you want to go down immediately. Yeah, you may have your hands in everything, but you need to be able to, focus on what it is that you really want to do. And not to say that you won't navigate, based on the market, but you know, I believe just like in anything, you have to find, your lane and find what works for you. You got people who do strictly reefer and they're not doing anything else. Not to say that they won't do anything, and not to say they won't transport any other thing, in trucking based on, how the market is fluctuating. But you got people who just doing strictly reefer. Right here where I'm at in the Midwest, like I see a lot of cattle trucks, like a lot of cattle. Um, Flatbed, like I said, I'm right down the street from Des Moines. So TMC, shout out to TMC, flatbed company. They right down the road. They're right down the road from where I'm at. Um, Heavy haul, like I see that all the time as well. You have to be able to find your lane, and I was definitely, motivated to get into hazmat. Like I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get into hazmat. Like I just got to. As I continue to go on interviews and stuff like that, or even, get these phone calls, to do the phone interviews, everything looks good. But I also know a lot of these trucking companies, they're not looking at, your resumes as in depth either. And I say that because they're asking me right off the bat, well, how much driving experience you have? And it's like, dang, man, y'all not even looking at the resume. You all are just, you see, I got my CDL and you see, I got all my requirements, but it's like you're not looking anywhere else on the paper, to see how much experience that I have, you know, which was none. I put on there, CDL school, South Georgia Tech, got all my endorsements and stuff. But it's like, yeah, y'all are not really paying attention when you're looking at this stuff. So, we're going through the whole phone interview and stuff, and things are great. Like, well, how much years experience do you have? I'm like, well, I just graduated from CDL school. Oh, okay. Well, you need at least 6 months to drive with us. So go get those 6 months and then you can reapply. And I'm like, okay, thank you for the interview. But even still, it's like, man, like, y'all really not looking at the resumes like at all, man. Like, y'all not even looking, you know, to see what's going on. Like, you're not even seeing like who I really am. You're just seeing like, yeah, he got this CDL. All right, let's call him. But you're not verifying, if I have experience or not. And I didn't have any experience, but I'm like, hey man, somebody's gonna take a chance on me. Um, that was another company, Central Transport. Central Transport. When I applied for them, oh man, I think Central Transport said you have to have a month experience before you can get on with them. And I'm like, how does that work? Like, so you expect me to go and work for a company for a month and then come back and reapply for you all? Like, when I have that month under my belt, it's like, nah, that's just not how things work. That's not how I work either. And I understand that, once you get that experience under your belt, you have the ability to, pretty much navigate how you choose. Um, but I believe just like in anything, developing some consistency, and staying with one job is definitely key and definitely pivotal. So I didn't want to be like that, hopping from company to company once I got experience. No, I'm like, all right, if I can find a great organization that will meet my needs and I'm happy, then I'm like, yeah, you have a loyal, you'll have a loyal employee in me. Like you really will. Um, so yeah, like it was very, very hard, finding just looking for jobs in general. It got to the point where I even started applying for industries that I knew that I really wasn't interested in, but it's like, all right, I was ready to drive. Like I said, 'cause I was at that time I was working two jobs. I was working full time as a probation officer down in LaGrange, Georgia, and I was also doing part-time law enforcement at man, I can't believe I forgot it already. At Georgia World Congress Center. So different events that they would have going on um, at the World Congress Center, or even at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium or Centennial Park, whatever it was in that vicinity. Whenever they had spots available, people from all over the state were, signing up, just trying to pick up extra shifts. Like I said, the money was good as well, but I knew the moment I got that CDL that yeah, I'm going to be pivoting to do something else. I knew that off the top. So back to me applying for all different type of jobs. I applied for Cisco. Uh, like I said, shout out to Cisco, but I didn't like the way that they did their process. In regards to the advertisement. Their advertisement clearly stated that even if you're a recent graduate from a CDL school, that they'll hire you. Like I said, you can interview and everything. Um, so got to the hiring event in Stone Mountain, and that just wasn't the case at all. You had to have 6 months experience, but not just 6 months experience. You had to have 6 months experience in the food and beverage in the food and beverage industry. Once again, I had no experience. Matter of fact, it was people who were out there who had truck driving experience, but they didn't have any in the food and beverage industry. So everybody that was out there, they had the same sentiments I had. Like, man, they said that they'll hire, anybody, with or without experience. So one of the guys came out there who was a representative for Cisco. It's like, yeah, it was a misprint by HR. We are only hiring people with 6 months experience in the food industry. And I was floored. I was floored. I was like, man, I can't believe I drove up here for this interview and no luck. It was just no luck at all. Like, I felt defeated. I felt deflated. I was like, man, I can't believe this. Um, so let me just give you all a rundown of jobs. Well, it's only 3 jobs that I felt like I had an opportunity of getting, and uh, they all just didn't work. So Cisco was one. Ryder was another one. Man, I knocked the interview out the park with the Ryder interview. I knocked it out the park. The guy said, "Oh man, you don't have no experience. All right, cool. We'll train you. We'll train you on the job." I'm like, "All right, bet." I'm thinking in the back of my mind. I'm like, "All right, it's a night shift driving position. I would be a yard driver, which means I would have just been at the facility moving uh, containers from one side of the dock to the other side." I'm like, "All right, cool, cool." I'm still thinking, all right, it's in the perfect location. It's in Noonan, which is right next to LaGrange. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna keep my job with the state, and I'm gonna drive at nighttime because my job with probation, I had virtual days a lot of times. So we basically work from home majority of the time. But if you had to do field visits, you go out in the field and you see your probationers or your parolees and stuff. So I'm like, all right, cool. No experience. Like, I'm like, all right, good, good. I mean, they sent me the benefits packet. I'm like, all right, let's go. Then I get another representative who calls me from Ryder, and the conversation just changed at that point. The conversation just changed. It went from how much experience do you have? And I'm like, I don't have any experience, but I talked to the guy and he said that I was good. Well, he doesn't really make that decision. So let me talk to the safety manager and see what they say. And I'm like, Oh, okay. All right. So I'm already not feeling good about it at that point. It's like, man, like the guy told me that I had the job. Like the guy told me that I was good. Like no experience that they'll train me. So a few days pass. I'm waiting to hear back from them. Nothing. So I'm calling them. I'm calling. I'm calling. I'm calling. Leaving voicemails. I must have left almost about. I must have called about 7 times. Left about 2 or 3 voicemails. Fresh out of CDL school, I'm anxious. I'm ready to get out there. I'm ready to make a life changing move. Excuse me. So, whenever I did get back on the phone with them and everything, that's when they dropped the bombshell on me. Like, well, you're gonna have to have 9 months experience, and seeing that you don't have that, we're not gonna be able to move forward with you on the process. But once you get that time under your belt, then you come back and you reapply for us. I was like, oh man, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. But, it hurt. It definitely hurt because I was really looking forward to that one. I feel like that would have been a great organization, but things happened the way it did. But I definitely felt defeated at that moment, like as well. It's like, man, like I had it, and then it's like, nah, you don't give that back. So yeah, man. Shout out to Ryder though. They did comment on one of my videos when I talked about them as well, as far as the whole process. So yeah, shout out to Ryder. Not saying that Ryder is a bad company, and also not saying that Cisco is a bad company as well. Um, just the representatives at those particular locations, you know, really didn't, you know, do the company justice in my book. That's just me. Um, Another job that I felt that I had was Yellow. That's no longer around. That's no longer here. Yeah, that Yellow right there. Yeah, but this was out. This was a Yellow in Macon, Georgia. Interview went well. Interview went well. I interviewed for Yellow. It was earlier this year around. It was between January and February. Yeah, it was around January, February that I interviewed with Yellow. Interview went well. It's the only company I ever heard, and then, until I did further research, where they will cover all your health benefits. So the company pays for everything. So that got me excited. I'm like, all right, this is promising. Like I've never worked a job where you don't have to pay for benefits. The state of Georgia, you pay for all those benefits. Let me be very clear. Like you will be paying for every benefit you sign up for. So for this company, to say that they'll take care of everything, I'm like, all right, great. That sounds good. Like he knew, like I said, the guy who I was talking to, he knew I didn't have experience either. But he was like, yo, we'll be willing to we'll be willing to train you. We got some other applicants that will be hiring. I mean, not hiring. We got some other applicants that will be interviewing. Um, but yeah, you're definitely one of my top candidates. I'm like, all right, great. So I think a few days came by, and that's when he told me that they decided to move on, with another applicant. And I understood, but he's like, yeah, you definitely interview well, and we would definitely, encourage you to apply back, once you get some experience on your belt. I'm like, all right, I definitely will. I definitely will. Um, and of course, we see what's going on with Yellow. Man, if I would have took that position right there, you talking about put all your eggs in one basket. I did not. I had no earthly clue how bad they were financially. Until the summertime hit. And articles are posting about them shutting down. I mean, it was I seen on all on the Fox News, CNN. And you do all the Google searches, like everybody was talking about yellow, filing for bankruptcy. And it went back and forth. Of course, oh no, we're not filing for bankruptcy. We're like, don't believe everything you hear. Mother Trucker News was, man, he was talking about it all the time. Shout out to Mother Trucker News as well. Definitely love your work and definitely supporting your channel. But yeah, he was even, talking about, everything that was going on with yellow. And it's like, man, then all of a sudden, of course, here it is. Like, yellow is no more. Even though I did see a few yellow trucks still driving, I don't know how that's how that works, but yeah, most locations that I've been at, and I've seen yellow, they got pretty much with like everything boarded up and stuff. Well, boarded up more so with like the trucks, like you can't get in and get out. So yeah, I'm definitely glad that I dodged that one. That would have been ugly. Last man hired and first man fired. Like that would have been disastrous for me, man. So I definitely think the big man, he knew exactly what he was doing, which leads me to where I am now. Best Veterinary Solutions, based out of Ellsworth, Iowa. Oh man, Ira, I'm thankful. Like I said before, man, I'm extremely thankful for BVS because I was about to make a bad decision and get on the lease to purchase program with Western Express. I got an old classmate that worked with Western Express, so I ain't gonna do too much, talking on Western Express. But I definitely, their communication was, it was not the part like I needed it to be, like how I'm used to dealing with, you know, with jobs along that nature. There was definitely big communication breakdowns, but like I said, at that point I was just ready to drive. After all the no's that I had gotten, all the emails coming back saying you don't qualify. At this point, it's like, all right, I'm ready to drive, and whatever it takes, I'm gonna get in somebody's truck. I knew Western was looking for people. Like, you know what? Forget it. I'm gonna just go on with them. I'm gonna do their lease to purchase. I didn't know anything about lease to purchase. The only thing I was like, all right, I could possibly make more money, in this program, because it's kind of like you being an owner operator, and but you're leasing the equipment from them and stuff. It took me getting months down the line to realize, like, man, that would not have been a great decision. I would have been, yeah, I would have probably been making pennies on the dollar, man. Like, I really probably would have been making pennies on the dollar. But shout out to anybody who's doing lease to purchase program. I still don't know a lot about it. I hear people, talk about it, with different companies and things like that. But I don't know enough about it to really give give dialogue. So I'll leave that where it's at, and I'll have other people address that, sometime down the line. But right when I was getting ready to put in my notice, that's when BVS swooped in. That's when BVS swooped in. They swooped in, and it was it was definitely the wake up call that I needed. I had applied to them a few times. Well, I had applied to them twice. Um, I didn't hear any response the first time, and then when I applied again, that's when I got a response back from BVS, and I did the phone interview, and the phone interview went well. He was telling me, everything in the position, required. I had to have my hazmat, had to have my tankers. Uh, we don't do doubles and triples, so I didn't have to worry about that at all. So the phone interview went great. He sent me over the application. I did the application that same day. Called him back. Like, hey, sir, I've done the application. Well, do you think you got time? Well, when do you think you'll have time to go and take a tour of the warehouse? I was like, I can go today right now if you need me to. Like, yeah, I'll give you the address. I'm like, oh, me being from Columbus, because BBS has a Columbus location. Um, he's like, yeah, I'll send you the address right now. I'm like, oh, I know where this is at. I said, I'll be there in about 10, 15 minutes. Went right to the warehouse. Talked to the warehouse manager. Shout out to John. Uh, he's not with the company anymore, but still a great guy. Still a great guy. And touring the warehouse, I'm seeing all the products that's in there. He's explaining, what they do as far as the local drivers, taking the items to, different chicken farms and hatcheries. And, he's just showing me, how things are going. And he basically just told me, said, man, like the job is yours if you really want it. I'm like, absolutely. I absolutely do. So, I go back and I'm doing my research more on BVS. And, I'm like, all right, out of Ellsworth, Iowa. Um, and it was just one of those things where it's like, I was like, God, you really came through. And not to say it, like I said, I never doubted God at all, but it's like, man, he really came through with BVS. And from that very first moment all the way up until now, it's changed my life. It has really changed my life for the better. Um, not only just financially, but who I am as a person. Like I'm an introvert at heart. Not to say that I can't work around people, but I am an introvert at heart. So being in that truck and just getting from point A to point B and you're just doing it safely, it's just it's a breath of fresh air. Um, when I was working in probation, which is part of law enforcement, probation and parole, like I had a lot of restless nights because you never knew if one of the people that you were supervising was going to get caught up, in something. And it's like every morning I find myself, going to the website, the news website, to see if, like, man, let me see if one of my offenders have done something, or, going on my laptop, logging on, to see if, all right, let me see if there's an alert in the system that somebody did something. And, to get away from that, to get to here, like I said, and I've been with BVS since March, and I can't believe a year is coming up, man. Like it's really been flying. So to get to where I am now, and it's like I've learned so much in a short amount of time. Um, I've met different truckers on the road, and just the camaraderie. You meeting different drivers from Canada and even some from overseas and stuff. And at these truck stops, we just having this healthy dialogue, and you just telling all the other drivers, hey man, be safe, man, be safe. It's like, man, like it definitely feels great. I've had my share of busted tires, of course, and you name it. It's definitely been a journey and an adventure, but it's definitely been one that's very worthwhile. I don't have any regrets about the decision that I made to, get into trucking. And I do believe that when you find a great organization, that it makes it that much sweeter, you know, to be like, yeah, I know that this was the right decision that God made for me. And I definitely feel that way. I definitely feel that way overall. Um, like I say, on the financial piece, like, it definitely, like I said, I'm not gonna really disclose how much I make and things like that, but I could definitely tell you it was way more than what I made, um, being a probation parole officer and even working the part-time shifts up in up in Atlanta. I I almost tripled my salary by doing that by by getting into this industry, and being able to do a lot of things as far as paying down debt, being able to do stuff for my kids, well, my two daughters, you know, and just being able to just give back to those who gave to me when I was in the point where I was struggling. It definitely feels great. It definitely feels great. I think that's the biggest thing for me. I realize about this industry. Like I said, I'm just not getting, and I'm still new. I'm still new, and I'm learning everything. But the money does come fast. The money does come fast. But I think the biggest thing in the trucking industry is how you manage your money. That's going to be the determining factor whether you make it in this industry or not. I do have aspirations, of course, of being an owner operator down the line. So of course, the biggest thing for me is paying down dumb debt that I created, years ago, so I can put myself in a better position, for when it's time for me to become an owner operator. And I either want to, buy my trucks outright or get financing. Then I can get that, with no problem. So I'm keeping the main thing, and taking care of what needs to be taken care of. Um, I haven't bought any major purchases since I started working with BVS. I'm still frugal. So I mean, I still budget shop and stuff like that. I'm a big salesperson, so if it's on sale, half off, that's all me. But but I definitely would just say, to anybody, find you something that the market deems as valuable, not what you think is valuable. Um, and I always say purpose over passion. You know, you need to be focused on your purpose as far as what it's going to take for you to get to the next level. You know, a passion. If that passion isn't you know deemed valuable to the market, then you're not going to be making any money at all. Like so, I realized that trucking was the way for me to go. I come from a family of truckers, um, and I just knew that this was the only thing that really piqued my interest. Somebody asked me, a special person asked me, "What would you have done if you couldn't do trucking?" And I told them, "I don't know. I do not know. Um, this was the only thing for me. So thank God for trucking. Thank God for truckers. Period. And, I definitely want every trucker to be safe out there as well. But yeah, like I said, it's definitely been a journey, and I know I'm gonna have more journeys, along the way. Of course, like I said, in the next 3 to 4 months, it'll be 1 year for me being at BVS, Best Veterinary Solutions, and I can't wait. Lord willing, I'm able to see it. I can't wait. This is a great organization, especially me starting out as a driver. This is a great organization, and I definitely, I definitely know that bigger doesn't always mean better, because BVS is a relatively small company. We're not a mega carrier, but with so much stuff going on with the mega carriers, it's like, man, I realize that bigger doesn't always mean better. It feels different when the president of the company and all the certain people, like all the important people, in the company, they know who you are, because it's only like 6 or 7 OTR drivers, within the company, and we have local drivers at the location. So we got 7 locations all together. Um, so like I said, we got 7 OTR drivers, and we have a bunch of local and regional drivers at the facilities as well, at the different locations. So it feels good when um, the transportation manager knows your name, and you all have dialogue and things like that. So it definitely means a lot, and it definitely you know feels welcoming as well. Like I said, I've been to all the facilities except for Minnesota. I don't know if I ever be going to the Minnesota location, but everybody's real welcoming, and I'm just thankful. I'm just really, really thankful. The trucking journey definitely isn't over for me. I'm gonna continue to come on here and go live. I didn't expect for me to be on this long, but it definitely feels good for me to just come on here and just share with you all my experience about, this first year, of me obtaining my CDL where I am now. Like I said, we're not done yet, and like I said, the one thing I'll just say, to everybody is be intentional about life. Do not play around with life. You only get one. So be intentional and be serious about what it is that you desire. And with that, I'm going to tell you all good night. And please like, share, and subscribe. Please tell people about this channel. Share this video. Maybe it can help someone get motivated as well and get them out that funk if, they're having struggles as well. But until next time, peace. Have a good night.